We're constantly so pleased to have you ever right here, and now not simply because the first 2 times you had been here we made out, and I'm now not simply bragging out of faculty right here, we did it on digital camera. This wasn't backstage. Jim, prove it to the people. Good to look you. Now right here's the aspect. Hollywood has constantly respected Sally Field as a legend, a skilled actress with a stellar profession. But in the back of the prestigious awards and radiant smiles at the red carpet, her life has been a series of unimaginable tragedies. She as soon as loved passionately, most effective to stroll away in order to shop herself, a suffocating and controlling courting with Burt Reynolds, and a plane crash that almost took her lifestyles. But it really is not all. The fact about Sally Field isn't always what the public has constantly believed. Behind her robust exterior, what has she been hiding these types of years? What tragedies have been concealed beneath Hollywood's glamorous facade? These hidden truths have remained buried for many years, but these days we will find what truly occurred. Sally Field became born on November 6, 1946, in Pasadena, California. She changed into the daughter of Margaret Field, an actress, and Richard Dryden Field, a former Army guy. However, her parents' marriage did not last long. When Sally turned into still an infant, her mother remarried Jock Mahoney, a well-known stuntman. From that moment, Sally's childhood took a darkish and tragic flip. Her circle of relatives may additionally have regarded ordinary at the floor, however, in the back of closed doorways, the fact changed into entirely one of a kind. From the long time of 5 to 14, Sally changed into assaulted through her stepfather. Even worse, her mom knew approximately it but did nothing to protect her. That silence left Sally feeling isolated, lost, and not able to accept as true with anyone. The horror had all started. At simply 17 years antique, Field determined she turned into pregnant in a desperate scenario, with little choice and no assist from her circle of relatives. Her own family buddy helped her find a solution, and he changed into the one who drove her, her mother, and his spouse to Tijuana, Mexico for a medical system. But what befell next became a ways worse than she had ever imagined. Field changed into taken into the process room without any shape of pain, comfort. She felt the entirety, the physical pain and the overwhelming fear. But the worst changed into, but to come back. When I realized it, the technician had crossed a boundary with me. I failed to recognize what to do. I just tried to push him away, Field recalled. When it changed into all over, she obtained no care or guide. The clinical staff surely shouted, "Go, get out now," as if the building changed into on fire. It changed into an annoying joy that Field has by no means been able to overlook. Just a few months later, Sally Field landed the lead position within the television series Gidget, marking a chief turning point in her profession. From a teenage female who had just continued an emotional and psychological shock, she quickly had become America's best girl on the small screen. But in the back of her radiant smile on TV, she knew that heaps of ladies of her technology had lived through comparable testimonies in silence. Later, Field shared that she discovered it hard to believe that even nowadays, so many young ladies nonetheless face the same struggles she once did. She emphasized that this isn't only a story of the beyond, however a present-day fact affecting endless lives. For Sally Field, this turned into, now not only a non-public story, it became a warning call about women's proper to pick out and their protection. And so, she grew up with a deep longing for validation, continually searching for love and recognition from the ones around her, especially in her romantic relationships. She, in no way felt correct, sufficient, in no way felt worthy, and that very insecurity led her to make picks she could later remorse. The wounds of the past, in no way, certainly fade. They virtually exist in silence, shaping each choice she made all through her lifestyles. And it turned into those very wounds that, driven but out of fear of being abandoned all over again, In 1968, Sally Field changed into just 22 years antique, standing at the brink of her profession, but her lifestyles all at once took an unexpected turn, not because of a chief position, however, due to a lifestyles-altering non-public selection. Stephen Craig, her longtime boyfriend, issued an ultimatum: marry me or I'll marry a person else. There was no time to think, no hazard to weigh her alternatives. Sally became cornered, panicked, and not without a doubt geared up, she agreed. Not out of love, but out of worry of dropping the handiest person she had. But then, an surprising twist emerged. A person else Stevens cited was Ron Troop, the actress who had almost changed Sally in The Flying Nun. Had Sally refused his notion inside some months, Ron would possibly have ended up Stevens' wife, as opposed to just a backup choice. The marriage came about swiftly, and Sally was speedily thrust into an entirely new phase of her life, becoming a wife, then a mother, all at the same time, as nevertheless uncertain of what she certainly desired. 2 years after the marriage, she gave birth to her first son, Peter Craig, 1969, followed by way of Eli Craig, 1972. But regardless of having a own family, Sally felt trapped in her very own existence. She didn't sense cherished within the manner she longed for, nor did she find an authentic connection in her marriage. Between the obligations of motherhood, the strain of keeping her profession, and a marriage and not using a way out, Sally felt as if she had been drowning. After 7 years of attempting, Sally Field determined to document for divorce in 1975, formally stepping far away from a wedding she had in no way genuinely chosen in the first location. But freedom did no longer suggest ease. From being someone controlled in love, she had become an unmarried mom, struggling to balance elevating her children while keeping her career afloat. But this turned into only the start. Even after she left, she had but to absolutely escape the shadows of her past. In 1977, Sally Field entered one of the most widespread relationships of her lifestyles. A love that became severe, yet deeply painful, with Burt Reynolds. It wasn't the fairy story romance the public imagined. On the floor, they had been Hollywood's ideal couple. However, behind the curtain, their relationship became certainly one of manipulate, battle, and ultimately, regrets that neither ought to ever erase. Burt Reynolds met Sally on the set of Smokey and the Bandit, but in fact, he had been watching her for a long time. The producers didn't need Sally for the lead role. They didn't assume she became glamorous enough to star alongside Burt, a heartthrob known for his rugged masculinity. But Burt failed to care. He saw something special in Sally and fought relentlessly for her to get the role. "You do not get it," he informed the manufacturing group. "Talent is what makes a person irresistible, and he or she has it." The second they met on set, they were right away attracted to every different. Their chemistry became explosive. A lot in order that inside days they felt like that they had recognized every other for all time. It wasn't simply physical appeal, it was an unexplainable connection, something that neither should turn away from. But what Sally did not understand on the time become, that this dating would quickly emerge as a gilded cage, one in which she might slowly lose herself. Burt Reynolds was a person who wanted control. He did not simply need Sally as his female friend. He desired her to belong to him in every aspect of lifestyles. He desired her with the aid of his facet at all times, did not want her to have a profession of her own, and did not need her to develop independently. This became glaringly clean at the 1977 Emmy Awards. Sally Field were nominated for her exceptional overall performance in Sybil, and when she won, her call turned into announced. But she by no means walked as much as the level. She wasn't even there. The reason? Burt failed to need her to move. That wasn't the most effective time Burt tried to control her. He wanted her to trade, her clothes, the manner she walked, the way she spoke, even the manner she noticed herself. In loving Burt, Sally stopped being herself. Over time, she have become Burt Reynolds' lady friend in place of Sally Field, the talented Hollywood actress. Yet, satirically, Burt changed into additionally the only who recommended her to take the role in Norma Ray, movie that gained her first Oscar. So why did Sally live in one of these dating? The solution lay in her beyond. From a younger age, Sally had grown up seeking approval, mainly from men. Burt May were overbearing, however, it turned into a dynamic she turned into familiar with. It turned into, as though, by making Burt alternate by way of making him love her in a manner that felt entire, she can also heal the injuries interior herself. But truth is in no way that simple. Burt's want for manipulate wasn't the best issue. He proposed to Sally multiple instances, but she usually refused. Not due to the fact she failed to love him, however, because she did not accept as true with he clearly desired it. Burt needed a picturesque, best female to face beside him. However, marriage turned into a dedication he wasn't ready to endure. He longed to have children, but he feared the duty of fatherhood. That worry slowly suffocated their courting, pushing them both right into a dead end. However, what surely shattered the whole thing became betrayal. Burt Reynolds had a history of infidelity, and Sally turned into no exception. And remember how a good deal she tried to disregard the rumors her grandmother failed to. One day, she acquired a letter from her grandmother. Inside were newspaper clippings exposing Burt's affairs. Sally ought to no longer deny the reality. She felt betrayed, deceived, and more than anything, foolish for now not seeing it faster. In 1982, after 5 years collectively, Sally Field decided to go away. This wasn't a quiet breakup. It became painful, tumultuous, and for Burt, it turned into a loss he might never recover from. Even after courting many different girls, Burt Reynolds openly admitted that Sally Field became the love of his existence. In his memoir, he wrote, "But Sally in no way regarded again. He spent years hoping she might call. However, that name in no way got here." In 2018, Burt Reynolds handed away, on the age of 82, award. Sally Field changed into one of the first to pay tribute, she referred to as him, with the aid of his formative years nickname, Buddy. "There are moments and lifestyles that by no means fade. The years I spent with Burt will always live within me." She also admitted she felt relieved understanding he might in no way get to examine her memoir, now not due to the fact she hated him, but due to the fact she did not need to harm him one extra time. The love story among Sally Field and Burt Reynolds turned into one of the maximum complex romances in Hollywood.